You didn't become cold. You became clear. And there's a difference. Some people look at your boundaries and call you distant. They look at your peace and call you detached. They look at your discernment and say that you've changed. And they're right. You did change, but not in the way that they think. You stopped confusing access with love. You stopped confusing guilt with responsibility. You stopped confusing tolerance with kindness. And once those things became clear, your decisions started changing, because clarity changes your decisions long before it changes your circumstances. And here's what many people don't understand. When you've spent years overlooking red flags, clarity feels uncomfortable. When you've spent years making excuses for unhealthy behavior, clarity feels harsh. When you've spent years putting everyone else first, clarity can even feel selfish. And not because it is, but because it's unfamiliar. You aren't grieving the loss of unhealthy habits. You're grieving the version of yourself that believed those habits were necessary. And that's a completely different kind of healing. You see, some people will say, "You've become so different." What they really mean is, you no longer respond the way you used to. You don't argue over every misunderstanding. You don't chase every explanation. You don't try to convince everyone to see your heart. You've realized something. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to your energy. Not everyone deserves unlimited explanations. Not everyone deserves another opportunity after repeatedly showing you who they are. That doesn't make you cold, though. It makes you wise. And wisdom isn't becoming less loving. It's becoming more discerning about where your love belongs. Think about how much energy you used to spend trying to fix what wasn't yours to fix. Trying to rescue people who didn't want to change. Trying to hold together relationships that only survived because it was you that kept holding them together. Eventually, you became tired. Not tired of loving, tired of abandoning yourself. And sometimes that's when you realize it's time to come back to you. And that's actually one of the reasons I chose this shirt today. It's more than something cute for me to wear. I like what it represents. It's that reminder that after everything that you've been through, everything that you've learned, and every version of yourself you've had to outgrow, you're still here and you know yourself better now. So if you like the shirt, I'll have it linked below for you. You can check it out after the video. Now, that's what clarity starts doing. It brings you back to yourself. And there's an old piece of wisdom that says, peace often looks like distance to people who benefited from your chaos. Understand this. Peace often looks like distance to people who benefited from your chaos. Because when you stop reacting, people who depended on your reactions become very uncomfortable. When you stop over-explaining, people who depended on your guilt become confused. When you stop chasing, people who depended on being pursued begin asking questions. Not because you've become harder to love either, but because you've become harder to manipulate. You see, the people who call your boundaries cold often preferred the version of you that had none. And I also want to say something that's important. Being clear doesn't mean being cynical. It doesn't mean believing everyone has bad intentions. It doesn't mean shutting your heart down, because healthy clarity doesn't close your heart. It opens your eyes. You still have the ability to love and care. You simply no longer ignore what your own experiences has been trying to teach you. That's growth. And there's a difference between giving people a chance and giving people unlimited chances to repeat the same behavior. One is compassion, and the other usually comes at your expense. And that's exactly why I wrote Phoenix, From Stability to Power. Because there comes a moment where healing isn't about surviving what happened anymore. It's about trusting yourself again, trusting what you see, trusting what you feel, trusting the lessons that you've learned, and realizing that protecting your peace isn't something you have to apologize for. That's where your power returns. See, you didn't become cold. You became clear. Clear about what you deserve. Clear about what you'll no longer tolerate. Clear about the kind of life that you're building. And here's the beautiful part. Clarity doesn't just change who has access to you. It changes what has access to you. More peace, more honesty, more healthy relationships, more self-respect. Because once you stop making decisions from fear, you finally have room to make decisions from wisdom. You see, you didn't lose your heart. You just stopped handing it to people who kept dropping it. And that isn't becoming cold. That's becoming free. Peace, blessings, love, and power.